My name is Novi. I'm just an average runner. I'm an average racer. I haven't won any Olympic medals, but I'm not slow either. And what I'd like to do is to help inspire and instill knowledge for the average runner to get better. You can become a slave to numbers, worry about other people's races and performances, or you can learn to be free with your running and find what truly moves you to run hard, fast, and succeed. Let's find out where I came from and where this all started. I grew up in a small railroad town named Garrett, Indiana. There was plenty to do in Garrett, Indiana when I was growing up. I played with my friends, ran around the neighborhood, played baseball, and all the normal stuff that you would do growing up as a kid in the Midwest. I had never played youth football, and I wasn't really that great at soccer either. So my dad and I were trying to decide what the best sport is that I could do in the fall. Well, I remember this one hot summer back when I was just going into 6th grade. My dad was a cross-country coach for about 14 years or so, and he took me out to the cross-country course. Obviously, I can't play football because of my size. I wasn't really good at dribbling a soccer ball, so he took me out, 93-degree day. It's even a flat course, but it just killed me. I went through the first mile with my dad in like 6:40, but then I probably ran like a 9 flat or 10-minute mile. He took me out and he said, that's what cross country is all about, and somehow I stuck with it. And I thank my dad for that big time, and my mom's support. Somehow, after that meeting at the high school with my dad, I knew that I had found my sport, but I was surprised when I actually did show up to camp for the first day. I had a coach that was old school. He believed in good long miles, hard workouts, and all the work that it took to pay off to race well. His name was Coach Rhodes. He knew how to do all the right work just to get everybody's fullest potential out of them for running. I also recall that all of Coach Rhodes' workouts were able to bring me success, especially in my junior year of cross country at Garrett. I remember that I was able to place well in all my races, especially the big invitationals, conference, sectionals, regionals, all that good stuff. And I knew that my main goal wasn't a team-oriented goal at all, and that was to get all conference my junior year of high school. I wanted to get all conference and all area more than anything, even more than a team title at conference. Everything was going well with running during my junior year of high school, until like many people, I was confused and scared about the events of September 11th. All of a sudden, this guy named Bin Laden was controlling everything that we were going to do as a nation, but he wasn't going to control me as a runner. The last couple of races before my conference meet, in which I wanted to get all conference, were difficult. I lost both of my grandparents, 9/11 happened, and it was very, very mentally challenging. It taught me how to find strength in the hardest places to find, and usually that was with my friends and my family. I had done it. All conference and all area was mine. I remember running those last few steps along the home stretch of a crazy course, and I knew I had it in the bag. This is also where the biggest mistake of my running career happened. I realized that running for just myself was not the right way to go. It brought me a lot of early success in my running career, but we didn't win conference as a team. I was selfish and self-centered, and I didn't like who I had become. I remember riding high going into my senior year, thinking those are more so my glory days than another day to prove the potential of me running real well in college somewhere. I didn't put in the work or the miles. I didn't put in any of the time and effort that I did my junior year. And I had absolutely zero confidence in myself or in my training. I decided to attend Ball State University. In my freshman year, I thought about walking on the cross-country and track team. The problem with that was that I had absolutely zero credibility, and I was not remotely in the shape that all of the Division I runners were in. I decided to bag that idea and just start kind of training on my own. Psychologically, I needed something. I needed something to get me through the hard times of training alone and not having a team to run with. I remember one day when I was with my mother in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we decided to go to a local running store named Three Rivers Running Company. I ran into a gentleman named Casey Schaefer.
Hey, we got Casey Schaefer running here. Just got done with the 10K.
Little did I know, being a cocky sophomore in college, that Casey was going to be the one to elevate my running and fitness to a completely different level that I thought was impossible.
Woo! Okay.
Casey not only paced me through races, he also helped me with workouts.
Good job, Casey. Nice going, bud.
Thought about the little picture and the big picture at the same time.
Casey, let's go, Mitch.
Good,
Let's go, guys.
Good job, guys. Good job, Mitch.
Keep it up, guys. Go, guys.
Good job, Case. Good job, Case.
Come on, Casey.
Good job, Mitch.
Go, Mitch. Let's go, guys. Mitch, yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, Schaefer. Come on. Woo!
Casey was not the only person to help me through a lot of the hard times. I had other friends involved in the Fort Wayne running community. One of my friends and teammates that I became really good friends with, his name is Eric Ade. He sort of looks like the lead guitarist from the rock band Tool. Eric helped develop my skills in understanding the numbers game in running. He gave me different workouts that focused on my VO2 max, and he also gave me workouts that focused on psychological battles with myself. He made me mentally more tough for the whole sport.
I have enough trouble driving as it is. Just see in about 2 minutes when I try to get in that right lane.
Another friend of mine, Mark Deppner, he showed me not to take things so seriously sometimes and to have fun with it. Casey also did a good job at showing me how to run reckless. He showed me that it was important to go out and try things and to have guts and be a risk taker. After gaining a lot of knowledge from Casey, Eric, and a lot of the other Three Rivers Running Company guys, I decided to take my shot at road racing and running unattached at a lot of cross-country meets at local colleges. I ran hard and I ran reckless, and I was in pursuit of that sub 17 minute and hopefully sub 16 minute 5K.
Booyah.
Hi there, Mitch.
During my sophomore year, I ran a few cross-country meets as well. I remember running at Manchester University, Earlham University, and the Indiana Intercollegiates race. All three races were completely different compared to what I was used to running cross-country in because we were running 8 kilometers instead of 5 kilometers. My first race at the Indiana Intercollegiates at Purdue University, I ran the open race and ran it in 30 minutes and 20 seconds. Not a fantastic time considering it was just over 6-minute pace. I knew I could run faster. I decided to travel clear to Richmond, Indiana. Richmond, Indiana had Earlham University. There were plenty of local teams that I was used to racing against at the Indiana Intercollegiates, so I knew a lot of the runners there already. After crossing the finish line in sub 30 minutes, I was finally running around 5:50 pace for 8 kilometers. Still not very fast. I decided to give it one more go this year at Manchester College. Manchester was a fast course. It was flatter too. There were some pretty decent hills in Earlham, but Manchester offered a nice rolling flat surface to run fast on. I knew I was capable of running about 5:40 pace. To run somewhere in the 28-minute range for 8K. If I could run in the 28s, I would be happy. After crossing the finish line, I knew I had done it. Finally, I was a 28-minute 8K runner. Pretty legitimate, I thought to myself. But what was next? I still didn't place very well, and I still felt very inferior to people that I'd usually beaten in high school. So what did I have to do? That's when I decided to start running local one-lap races at a place called Anderson Shadyside Park. There was a weekly Thursday night cross-country race around a pond. One lap around the pond was 2.6 odd miles. It was a strange distance, but nonetheless, I felt that I was capable of trying to run fast at these Thursday night events. I had a string of 4 consecutive fast races at Anderson Shadyside Park. During my junior year, I was running anywhere from 5:30 pace at these races, clear down to 5:08 pace. That was almost sub-16 pace for 5K. I knew I was getting fit for cross-country season this year.
Good job.
Wow. 38 on 2.64 quarter.
After taking the advice of all the guys from Three Rivers Running Company, and also making new friends along the way, I decided to go to Findlay, Ohio with the crew for an indoor track meet at Findlay University. At Findlay, I decided to run the 5K, mile, and 3K, all in one weekend. I had never run a 5K on the track before, let alone an indoor track. Of course, my goal was to break 17 minutes. I remember being in the slowest heat of the 5K at Findlay University. I was with a group of guys that was going anywhere from 16 flat all the way to about 18 flat. I just remember trying to hammer hard and run as fast as I could and try to keep pace with all the other guys that were in front of me. I can't remember what I placed, but I remember crossing the finish line in 16:42. A big sigh of relief came over my whole body once I crossed the finish line. I knew I was finally a 16-minute 5K runner. But nothing had changed. I still felt this emptiness and fake happiness after running a big PR. What was the problem? I figured out the major problem was that I needed to continue to run faster. 16:42 was just numbers to me now. Yes, it was a fast time, but I knew that I could have placed better in a race full of people that I was capable of beating. After completing the Anderson Shadyside Park races on Thursday nights during my first cross-country season, and after getting my feet wet on the indoor track, getting used to racing indoors and running fast, I used the rest of the summer before cross-country season to start hammering the miles, building up my mileage base, and trying to get faster on the cross-country course.
Go, 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 man.
Go, Mitch.
Good job. Good job, Mitch.
Look good.
16:36, 16:36.
I decided to run Earlham again this year. I went to Earlham with the intention of trying to break 28 minutes. I knew it was a difficult course because of the hills, but I knew I was very, very fit, and I was capable of running well against my competition. I went out hard and decided to hold pace with the front pack leaders. This is something that I was not very accustomed to, considering they blasted me the year before.
I think Garrett said that they go back in the woods now for a little ways.
What's up, Mitch?
Yeah, Mitch.
That boy, Mitch.
Keep it up, Mitch.
Let's go, Mitch. Keep it up.
Let's go, Mitch. That baby, let's go.
Let's go! Come on, go after him. Let's go, Brandon!
Come on, Mitch. Time to pick it up, man.
Yeah, it's just frustration.
Let's go, Mitch.
Behind you. Pick it up.
Let's go, Mitch.
I was able to hold pace throughout the whole race and cross the finish line in 27:52. Finally, I was in a 27s for 8 kilometers. And it was good enough for 7th place. 7th place in a big college invitational. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I was capable of running this well.
What's up, Mitch? What's your time?
27:50 something.
All right.
Hey, man. Solid race, man.
That's why he got messed up right there.
Hello? Hey, what's up?
Finally, things were starting to click. I decided to run a couple other cross-country meets in the local area. But I knew that the number one goal was to get to Manchester and break into the 26s.
Stuff together. Yep.
There he is.
How you doing?
Man of the hour. Streets are clean.
That's got my hair.
Down along the obstacles. If during the first 100 meters somebody goes down and we have various people down, I will not refire. The count will restart. Are there any questions about the course? The chute is small. Hopefully we don't get jammed up too much at the finish, we'll do the best we can. Any questions? Okay, good luck.
Come on, Mitch. Do it for Kirby. Kirby pocket.
Cool.
I've never been in that vantage point before.
Never been to a college beach before.
No. But I mean, even at the high school, I was always off to the side. Take a picture.
Come on, Mitch!
Although I have to stop to sleep.
Look in front of you. Look at those guys. Top 5's in your hands. Top 5's in your hands.
Let's go, Mitch! Get up there!
He's already walking up.
In 10th place, Mitch Novi running unattached with a time of 26:43. In 9th place, Adam Warner from Kalamazoo College with a time of 26:39.
After accomplishing my goal of running in the 26s at Manchester, I decided to cap off my fall season with a fast 10K, hopefully under 34 minutes, at the River City Rat Race in Fort Wayne.
The leaders right at the start as they get set through the first 100 meters. And here's our lead runner. He's just hitting the 5K mark. We've got 16:31 on the clock, one of the Indiana Running Company guys with the Indiana Running Company gear on, and there is nobody else in the picture as this fella has a big lead up front. 16:43 on the clock. He is beyond the 5K mark. And there is another runner in the picture now in second place, and he's at the 5K mark at 16:51. The winner of last year's race, Casey Schaefer, is at the Detroit Marathon tomorrow, so he's not running today. And here's our lead runner, 33:34 on the clock. We have our lead runner coming through. It's Mitch Novi from the Indiana Running Company coming through, and he's going to win the race. Mitch Novi flying through. There's other runners on the course as he starts his kick to head around the corner, and he runs into the biker almost as he heads to the finish. He'll finish around 33:54. Here's the second place runner behind him as they're running against the couple of runners still left on the course here going the opposite direction, just over the halfway mark. They got a long way to go. We've got 34:07 on the clock. The second runner is in the barn.
I came oh so close to breaking 16 minutes in the 5K on the indoor track, but when it came down to it, I was only able to run 16:04 at DePaul University with my friend Chad, the same guy that I ran cross country with in high school all the time my junior year.
Hello. Just ran the 3,000 meters here at IUPUI. And as you can see, I did run an extra lap, but it's alright. Nobody said anything about it. I should have actually just stopped after that lap, but anyway, broke some kind of meet record, and I got a free pair of shoes. And so we're gonna get a free pair of shoes, and I'm pretty happy. Ran 9:38, solid time. And all of my friends are here.
Friends and family were a very important part of my training, especially the fact that sometimes when I would take it too seriously, they were always there to make me laugh or remember to have fun with it. They also showed a lot of support when they came to my races. I sincerely appreciate people like Blake, Casey, Eric, Daniel, Chad, all these guys that came to all my races, and especially my family. I've also found inspiration from a lot of people. I found inspiration from people like Bob Kennedy, Bill Rogers, two-time Olympian Anthony Familetti, and even Tom Green.
Out there and run fast, hit my miles quick, go out there and show them what the ETG's all about, show them what Chronic's all about, show them what Lex Luger and Courageous are all about too. So here we go.
When I started my post-collegiate running career after college, the PRs came pretty quick. I ended up running 15:32 for 5K, 26:30 for 8K, 41:38 for 12K, and 33:40 for 10K. But my first year out of college was a very transitional year for me. This was also one of my last years living in Indiana.
You know the drill. You can still dehydrate on a day like today. And then as you cool off, head back to the NIT Center. We'll of course have the award ceremony and nice place to warm up. Folks, these are very good times for a good weather day. On a cold day like today, fantastic finishing. Runners to your left, walkers to your right. Great run today.
Thanks. Yeah, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Local time is just a few minutes before 8. Please remain seated as we head to the gate until the captain turns on the dot.
Atlanta, Georgia. this is where I live and train now. I moved down here to be with the love of my life. It's very different compared to living up in the Midwest in Indiana. Heat, hills, and humidity are the first things that come to mind when I think of living here and training here. There's certainly not a lack of places to run and train. There's many different parks that I like to train at. Some you have to get creative, and others have trails that go for miles. This is McCleskey Middle School. They have a cross-country course that is pretty short because it's only 3,000 meters, but if you get creative with it, you can get a lot of miles out of it. This is Northside Wellness Track. It's right across the street from McCleskey Middle School. This is where I do a lot of my track workouts. It's crazy and it's kind of gnarly because there's actually a hill in the middle of the track. So you have to actually run incline when you're trying to do repeats. This is another one of my favorite places. Carl Harrison Park. It's next to Lassiter High School. They have trails here, grass, just a bit of everything. Within only a few months of moving down to Atlanta to be with my wife, I was already making a big presence in the local running scene.
Fill your heart with joy that sing forever. I've been so happy loving
I was winning a lot of races, running fast times, and helping other people to try to accomplish their own goals. At this point in my life, I understand and realize that running is not an individual sport. We're all in it for the same purpose, and that is to better ourselves as a person and a runner. I picked up a grassroots sponsorship with Saucony. Saucony was a really good company, but what I tried to do was set up a Masters team and have Saucony sponsor it because Atlanta has some of the best Masters runners in the United States. And I felt that a team sponsored by Saucony could actually elevate their game and make their presence known that much more in the local community. The people at Saucony liked the idea, but they're still going to make people pay wholesale for just getting uniforms and gear to run in. That's the number one reason I decided to leave Saucony. I didn't like the corporate side of the running world. That's when I found a company called Reckless Running. Reckless Running is run by two-time Olympian Anthony Familetti. Fam has run some of the gutsiest races known to man in recent memory. His best-known performance was at the 2008 Olympic Trials in Eugene, Oregon. Now competing for Reckless Running as a brand ambassador, I've realized that helping other people is the point of our sport. And thinking back to when I was just focused on getting all conference as a high school runner, I don't think that that's the way that you're supposed to be. I think it's important to try to accomplish your own goals, but I think you have to keep the team's ideas and goals in mind just as much. The other reason I decided to run for Reckless Running instead of Saucony was because Reckless Running had the same type of ideals and training philosophies that I agree with. It was a perfect fit for me instead of running for a corporate type team like Saucony wants to put out. Plus, I think it's important to really understand what it is to be a free runner. Free from any kind of self-doubt, free from any kind of time expectations, and free from anybody else's expectations about yourself. One of my favorite races to run is called the Fast Pace Race. It's up near Lake Lanier in northern Georgia. It's a fast race and a fast course. It brings out really cool people, It also usually brings in a pretty cool speaker as well.
The course is definitely pretty quick. I would say it's fast, but you definitely have some decent little hills in there, some inclines to make it a little more interesting. I definitely was very pleased with my time this year compared to last year. When I won it last year, I ended up running about 16:35, I think. And this year I hit about 16:10, so definitely a small improvement there. I mean, that's what you should do. You shouldn't just kind of waste away a gift. Come out, run fast, show passion for a good cause.
And of course, the purpose that I've talked about for years, the cause. Anytime you incorporate prostate cancer, any kind of cancer, it's incredibly important to support events like this and try to raise funds for research.
I've won this race 4 out of 5 times I've run it, and I got second to a really fast guy from Atlanta Track Club one year. This year, since I was struggling, I was wondering if I was even going to be under 17 minutes for the 5K at the fast-paced race. Moving to Atlanta has inspired me to understand that you have to enjoy the races that you run and not be so hell-bent on the numbers game here. I've been plenty fit to run in sub 16 minutes in plenty of my races here, but sometimes it just doesn't show on paper due to the large amount of hills and elevation gain. Racing in Atlanta has taught me to be happy with my performances more than my numbers and times. That's when I also started to move more toward running on the trails and racing on the trails. It brings me back to my cross-country roots like I did with my dad on the first time we ever ran on the cross-country course together when I was a little kid. I've run some pretty decent performances off of this training philosophy. Using this training philosophy, as well as running about 50 to 60 miles a week, a tempo workout here and there, and some track work, has really allowed me to become a really good regional and local competitive runner. Something very important that I've learned after training all these years on my own is that sometimes you have to listen to your body and understand what your body needs on a particular day. Sometimes you have to deviate from the original plan. Sometimes your body needs a longer run, and sometimes it needs an interval workout. I think it's important to understand that you are going to know your body more so than a coach will ever know your body. You should always listen to your coach and get the good long-term advice, but sometimes you have to do it yourself. Take this particular workout at Northside Wellness Track. The original workout called for 12 by 400 meters at about 3K pace. For me, that would be right around 440 pace. So I was trying to hit my intervals right around 73 to 74 seconds. My body was telling me that I was tired from all the racing I had already been doing. So I decided to deviate from the original workout and just stick to running 8 by 400 meters at the same pace, followed by a longer run after the workout. Sometimes you can have all the right tools and the fitness that you really need to have in order to race well. That's what was happening for me in the fall of 2013. I had the good mileage base, I was able to get in all my workouts, and my fitness showed in my workouts that I was capable of running pretty fast on the roads. That didn't happen for me as much this year in the fall. But sometimes if you take the right mindset, not worry too much, and have confidence in your training, everything will click for just one race.
Go! I got it!
it's really, you know, I've said it a number of times that it's just nice to come out and run a pretty legitimate fast course, but more importantly, it's nice to have guys to run with. And this year, I mean, there are a couple of young guys that are out there that I could hear them the whole time and they pushed me, so that was nice. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have eased up a little bit, but it was really a fun race this year. Really good.
Here.
Hey. Good job. Good job.
Good job! Come on now!
Good job, Eric.
Good job.
When it's time to party, we will always party hard. Get 'em. Don't stop living in the red. I love that.